Howdy ho, neighborinos! It's time for a brand new flabbergasting edition to Cybersecurity for Civilians 101. Today we're going to finally discuss a topic I've been putting off for some time since I wasn't sure exactly how to approach it. But we need to, since it's another big gap in our list of topics to cover. What I'm referring to is what people call the Internet of Things, or IoT. What is that? Well, even if you're not familiar with the term itself, you probably are already participating in it, and you need to know how to do it more securely. IoT is the umbrella term for devices which are connected to a local network, or the Internet at large. For non-techies, an easy way to define it is every electronic device in your home or office or on your person, which is A, on the internet or your local network, and B, not a computer like a laptop or desktop. This would include stuff like smart plugs, which you can turn on and off with your phone, Wi-Fi repeaters, network printers, smartwatches, Fitbits, home security systems, Roku boxes, smart TVs, smart refrigerators, baby monitors, thermostats, security cameras, smart speakers, and yes, your router itself. If you use the Amazon name which starts with A in your home, that's IoT. If you have any of these items in your home or office, congratulations, you're using the Internet of Things. Now, I'm a tech guy, so I should be thrilled by all this, right? Well, sorta, kinda. Yeah, it's great to be able to check on your home security camera while you're at work, and I'm sure every parent out there is grateful for baby monitors. But there are huge problems with the whole IoT paradigm from a cybersecurity standpoint. It all stems from the fact that although for convenience I defined IoT devices as not computers, they really are computers, just really small and simple ones. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to connect to your home network. And if they're a computer on a network, then that means they can be hacked and used by bad guys against you, just like your desktop or laptop or smartphone. And here's one of the main reasons they can be a problem. IoT devices are notorious for not being updated. It's the easiest thing in the world for someone to sell smart whatevers and not keep its firmware updated. One of my earliest videos was on how important it is to keep your Windows computer updated with the latest security patches, right? Well, that applies here just as much. Once the bad guys hear about how to exploit a vulnerable device, then they go searching on the internet for targets. I did about 30 seconds worth of Googling, and I found several examples of this, and I placed a couple of them in the notes below. My personal favorite was how some bad guys broke into a casino's network and accessed their customer data by getting into their fish tank thermometer. But instead of just having you read about it, how about I demonstrate something for you? Okay, so I really feel the need at this point to demonstrate for you just how dangerous the IoT can be to you if you don't secure your devices properly. Let me demonstrate that with just a couple of quick examples here. Let's go to Shodan, SHODAN.io. And these guys are the search engine for the Internet of Things. They are the search engine for internet-connected devices. What type of devices on the internet? Unsecured devices. They actually comb the internet for unsecured devices that you can just go to on the internet. Let me go ahead and log in. I'll use my free account here. I'm logged in. And let's just go to Explore. And this brings up the most popular searches right here We've got webcams and cams and net cams. Let's just take a quick look at the webcams here. Okay, you see here. Now, I do have to emphasize and clarify at this point, everything on this website, to my knowledge, is totally legal. They're not breaking any laws. All they're doing is searching for unsecured devices on the internet that you can just go to by, theoretically, just by going to the IP address right here. The dividing line, just in case you're curious, between legal and illegal is using credentials. Even if a device is still using its default username and password, if you bring up that page and go to that device and use the default username and password without the permission of the owner of that device, that is illegal. However, if you just go to the device and it just pops up for you at an IP address, that's totally legal. There's no law against that, to my knowledge. So this is a web server. This is another device here. It's just right now, I'm sure this number goes up and down, but right now we've got 1,500 devices just with this search alone of cameras, which you could theoretically just go to. Now, I'm not showing you this, by the way, so that you can do it yourself. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but I just want to show you just how easy it is to do this for anybody with just a little bit of technical knowledge, especially bad guys. So let me show you just a little bit more on here. You got webcams, cams, and net cams, and they even have a pretty long list here of just devices that are just still using the default password. Now, I'm not going to go to any of these because, again, you know, if you try to use admin and the password on this device, that would be breaking the law. So I'm not going to do that. But right now, we've got 47,879 devices that just Shodan has found that are still using the default username and password that that device came out of the box with. So I just wanted to show you just how easy it is. And look, this doesn't take a lot of technical skill. You saw how easy it is. That's why it's so important to secure your devices. All right, let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and log out of that. And let me show you something else here just to demonstrate for you. I'm not going to show you how I did it. You can do the research on your own, but I just did a Google search with the right verbiage in it, and I pulled up one of the hits from that search on Google, and here we go. This is a security cam that I just went to with that IP address, and it pops right up. No username, no password, nothing. There you go. So, and I've used this term before, but it really applies here. It really is that easy. This is why it is just so important to secure your IoT devices. Now, before I proceed, I need to be clear. I'm not opposed to the IoT itself. I myself have IoT devices in my home. However, I'm strongly suggesting that if you do get devices on your network, especially if you can access that device on your smartphone through an app, that you do so as securely as possible. So what can you do? What's the advice from your cybersecurity pal on this? First, before you buy any new smart device, ask yourself a hard question. Do I really need this device on the internet? I don't mean that to be smart alecky or judgmental. I just want you to keep in mind that with every device you add to your list, you're at least slightly increasing the attack surface for the bad guys to try to get into your life. I've heard of smart toasters, and I think I can live with that one, right? If you do decide to buy a device, then do some research on it beforehand. Google security issues with the make and model of your device and see what comes up. Another thing to Google is how to update firmware on the make and model of your device. Ideally, it should be a device which updates its own firmware automatically. I just found this out with my own router, which was issued to me by my internet service provider. As soon as I got it, I did all the stuff I mentioned before in a previous video about securing your router. I changed the access code on it, yada, yada, yada. And then I started researching how to update the firmware on it, because I like to check on that every 6 months or so. And lo and behold, I found out that my internet service provider, which sponsors this router, also makes sure that it's updated with the latest firmware as it comes out. Yay! But seriously, before you buy anything, I recommend you do some research and find out how easy it is to keep the firmware on it updated, or if it can be updated at all. That might influence your decision on buying it. Second, take an inventory on the devices in your home. Go into each room of your house and take note of any electronic devices in that room which are A, not a laptop or desktop, and B, accessible on your home network or on the internet. You can't secure something if you don't know about it, right? Do your homework on each of these devices as well. Go to the manufacturer's website to see if there are any firmware updates on it, and if so, how to implement them. And then third, we need to start locking this stuff down. Here's how. A, if a device has a username and password for access, change the default password. I just showed you how important that is a minute ago, right? B, if a device is on your home network, you need to put that device on your guest Wi-Fi network, not your main Wi-Fi network. C, you need to make sure that any devices on your guest Wi-Fi cannot access your router. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, so I have taken the step of moving all of my IoT devices onto my guest Wi-Fi, but now I need to confirm that no device which is on my Wi-Fi can actually reach my router. So let me show you how to confirm that real quick. I'm going to put myself on my guest Wi-Fi. Okay. I'm on my guest Wi-Fi. I'm going to bring up the IP address of my router again. If you're not familiar with how to do that, you can watch my video on securing your router. I'm just going to do that real quick here. Command prompt ipconfig/all. Okay, my router IP address is still 192.168.1.254. And so I'm going to bring up a web page here, and I'm going to try to get to my router while I am on my guest Wi-Fi. Okay. And it's going to spin. It's going to spin. It's going to spin. It's going to spin. And there you go. All right, I have confirmed that a device on my guest Wi-Fi cannot actually reach my router. So let me go ahead and show you something else here. I'll go ahead and put myself back on my regular Wi-Fi. And then obviously once I get on my regular Wi-Fi, there's my dashboard for my router again. But let me show you one thing I found on my router settings. Again, this is going to be different than the settings for your router, because every router is different out there. Anyway, here is my router dashboard. Here's my Wi-Fi settings. and here's my settings for my guest Wi-Fi network, guest SID right there. And notice the setting I have on here, network access and then internet only. So that's why it very specifically is set so that anything on the guest Wi-Fi cannot actually get to my router. So that's something that you can check. So once you've confirmed that devices on your guest network cannot reach your router, there's really one more thing to do on this. If you've done all that we've talked about and you realize that you have a device which is insecure and you cannot secure it, you really should consider replacing it with something that can be secured or just removing it from your life. Like I've mentioned before, security is all about trade-offs. That inexpensive device might make your life a lot easier, but if you can't secure it, it might end up costing you more than you bargained for. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you want to be notified when I post a new video, then just click the subscribe and bell button below. As always, thanks so much for watching, and God bless.